Hello guys and welcome to this lecture series of IIT JAM Mathematics Examination. So we are discussing currently linear algebra subject, and in that subject we are discussing the topic rank of a matrix. Previous two lectures we discussed basically about rank of a matrix, and this is the fifth lecture in this series. And today's lecture is going to be a bit special because in this lecture onwards we are going to solve very interesting problems, a bit tough problems, and I'll do the problems in both the ways. I'll do it a bit faster for those who want to see how we can do with shortcuts, and also I'll do it in a bit explained way so that those who have difficulty in understanding can also understand the problem very clearly. So guys, let us see the problem. So we are given a problem here. P is basically an n by n square matrix where x is actually a non-zero column vector, then which of the following is false. So your answer to the following is false, and here you can see options are P is idempotent, P is orthogonal, P is symmetric, and rank of P is 1. So if you want to do this problem very fast, um, you need to have a small idea, but I think we have already done that thing in our previous classes. What is the idea you require to solve this problem very fast, because it's basically an MCQ question, and you know there's only one option for MCQ question, so very easily we can solve it out. So for getting into that, I just want you to think of this situation. Suppose I take my x to be this particular column vector, and I'm going to find x times x transpose. So x transpose is this row vector. If I multiply, what I get a 3 by 3 matrix, right? If you take in general an n vector here, x1 is to etc xn, and its column its transpose, if you take and multiply, you get an n by n matrix. Here you can see when you multiply, here you can see we are going to multiply the entries in the first row are nothing but what, x1 times x1 is the first entry here, right? Next one is x1 times x2, and third one is x1 times x3. That means you're just multiplying this row with a particular number or a constant k x1, so you get the first row. So it's basically something like x1 times your uh, row you are multiplying basically here. Okay, think in that fashion. Okay, second one you can see it's simply x2 times x1, x2 times x2, x2 times x3, uh, x2 times yeah, x2 times x3. So here you can see again here something like you're multiplying the same row, that is x1 x2 x3, with what, another constant x2, and third one is like x3 times x1, x3 times x2, and x3 times x3. So here again you're multiplying the same row again, x1 x2 x3, the row again you're multiplying with the constant x3. So we're given x is a non-zero vector, so we are sure that all of these values are not anyway going to be um, zeros, completely zero vectors, right? So if you look at this particular matrix, now can you tell what is the rank of this matrix? Yes, the rank is basically 1, because basically we have only one linearly independent vector, row vector here, because the first row is the row, if you take x1 x2 x3, it's x1 times that particular row is the first row, x2 times the same row, x3 times the third row, right? Or if you want to understand clearly, you take a small example, you take this case, you can see what you get actually. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3, then you have 3 times 2 6, 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 1 is 2, and last one is 3 2 1. So if I ask you to find the rank of this matrix, what will you do? If you're going to convert to row reduced echelon form, all those things, I'll divide r1 by 3, I'll divide r2 by 2, so I get my matrix to be I'll get my matrix to be 3 2 1 3 2 1 3 2 1. So you can see again, if I apply r2 as r2 minus r1 and r3 as again r3 minus r1, I get directly a matrix like this: 3 2 1 0 0 0 and uh, 0 0 0, right? So we have only one particular non-zero entry there, so I mean one particular non-zero row, so we have the rank as 1. So its idea is very simple. We are just writing out the multiple of the same row in the first this particular row in the first row of this matrix, second row of matrix, and third row of matrix. So as a whole, when you think, there is exactly one linearly independent vector. So that means from that we can directly fix that rank of P is 1. So when rank of P is 1 and when this is decided, you can finish off the problem, because if you take a matrix here, we have an option B, right? What is the option? Option is P is orthogonal. What is the specialty of orthogonal matrices? if we have an orthogonal matrix, then we have the definition that if P is orthogonal, what we can tell? Yeah, we can tell that P into P transpose will be equal to P transpose into P is equal to I. And if I take determinant on both sides, what I get? We already done before in our lecture that the proof of this we have done, that determinant we get again determinant of P transpose is equal to determinant of I is 1, and from this again we get determinant of P whole square will be equal to 1, or determinant of P has to be plus or minus 1, right? Determinant of P and P transpose are same, that's why I have taken determinant of P whole square. So that means that if P is orthogonal, definitely determinant has to be plus or minus 1. But if rank of P is 1, what happens? If rank of P is 1, then the determinant is what? Determinant of P is going to be 0. Because if you want your matrix to have full rank, then the matrix should be a non-singular matrix, because we have a square matrix case here. So we have to have a non-singular matrix. So in the discussion I have not considered this part 1 by x transpose x, because 1 by x transpose x, what is x transpose x? If you multiply x transpose x, what you get? It is simply, you can think like this. For the x what we have taken, we get x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square, right? So it's a constant. So we get something like 1 by this quantity times this matrix, that is x into x transpose. Okay, and we know the fact that since the x vector is non-zero, our x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square is going to be non-zero, right? Because we are given that x1 x2 x3, this vector is actually a non-zero vector. That means at least one entry should be non-zero, and this is nothing but our x transpose x. Now if you have this simple idea that if you take Ka, and if you want to find rank of A, it is nothing but equal to K times rank of A, right? If K is a constant. So the same idea can be used here, and since we have K is non-zero, because if K is not equal to 0 here K is nothing but this quantity. So it's something like 1 by x transpose x, that is a K, multiply with the matrix, and we are asked to find the rank of this matrix. Okay, so I found the rank of this particular matrix to be 1, so this whole matrix rank is going to be again 1. So determinant is 0 here, since we don't have full rank, and in that case we can say the matrix is singular matrix. And if you want P to be orthogonal, then determinant of P has to be plus or minus 1. So but in this case we have it to be 0, determinant is 0, so we can say this is the correct option. So which is the following is false is the question. So within a few minutes actually we can solve this, because once you have this once you understand this matrix clearly, then it is very easy to solve this question. Now if you want to go in a bit detail, uh, we want to think about these two questions also, right? I mean these two options also, like whether these are correct. So this is in fact again a direct uh, thing, because if you can just take the we'll just try to check whether these two are correct options. So if you want to check whether P is usually you don't have to check it, because we already got an answer here, but suppose if it was an MSQ question, you should have done this. So in that case we'll have to answer all the options, right? So if P is symmetric, you know that P should be equal to P transpose, and what is your P? P is x transpose by x transpose x. So if you, this is your P, right? So what is P transpose? It is actually x transpose whole transpose into x transpose by x transpose x, because it's a constant. This part is basically a constant. So you just like can think like if you have a matrix A and I give you a matrix K times A, and if I ask you to find that transpose, you will simply write K times A transpose. Same thing I've written. My K is 1 by x transpose x. Okay, and what is this? This is x transpose whole transpose is x, this is x transpose itself, and divided by my constant. So what I get again equal to P. So that means what? The matrix is symmetric. It's a true statement. So we got that P is symmetric is a true statement, rank of P is 1 is also a true statement, and now we have to check whether P is idempotent. P is idempotent means P square has to be P. So what is P square? We just multiply 2 times, x into x transpose by x transpose x into x into x transpose by x transpose x. This down are constants. You can write as x into x transpose into x whole square times x into x transpose into x into x transpose. Now you can see what is this part. That is nothing but again the constant, right? So that constant you can take out, and you just if you write down, you'll get something like this: x transpose x whole square into the matrix x x transpose. And the same thing can, there is a denominator and numerator, you can cancel out. You get 1 by x transpose x times x x transpose, which is nothing but equal to our P matrix. So what do we get? We get that P is actually an idempotent matrix. So the only false option here is option B, that is P is orthogonal. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. I hope you have understood this question, and if you have any queries or any comments regarding this question, please put it on the comment box, because I see a very less number of comments coming for these videos, and I need your likes and comments and your shares, so that I can uh, it's possible for me to reach many students who can get a benefit of this course. Okay, so let's go to the next interesting question which we are going to do. So as I told you, when we solve this problem, we are done in two ways. First thing, I've told you how to do it fast, right? What I did is basically I just got hold of the idea of rank, and the rank of a matrix, when I could say that it is 1, I could definitely, I could directly tell that it the determinant is 0. Hence I suggested this option is wrong, and since MCQ, I am done, right? But if it is MSQ, we have discussed how to do it. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Okay guys, when you look at this particular problem, you can see let m and n be natural numbers with m is less than n. Please note that. And P is actually an n by m matrix, and Q is actually an m by n matrix. Then which of the following are not possible is the question. So we have options like rank of PQ is n, rank of QP is m, rank of PQ is m, and rank of PQ is m plus n by 2, the greatest, so the smallest integer function of that. So we have to check which of the options are not possible. So let us just write down the order of the matrix PQ and QP. What is the order of PQ? You're multiplying an n by m matrix with an m by n matrix, so you're going to get an n by n matrix. If you're going to multiply Q and P, what do you get? You're multiplying an m by n matrix with an n by m matrix, so you get again an m by m matrix. And we have that m is less than n. We have this property that what, rank of uh, PQ is less than equal to what? We have one result. What is the result? The minimum of, yeah, rank of P and rank of Q, right? So what is the maximum rank we can have for P? The rank of P, because you can see m is less than n, right? So always for an m by n matrix, if m is less than n, what is the maximum rank? It is actually equal to the minimum of m and n, right? This also we have discussed in the properties when we discussed in the previous lectures. So this can take a maximum value m, this can take a maximum value m, right? So minimum of m and m is going to be, again, so the rank of PQ has to be less than equal to m. That's what we can say, right? So in that case, which option can be taken out? Yeah, this option, because rank of PQ can never be n, because it can take the maximum value m, and m is already less than n, strictly less than n, right? So this option is not true. So this option is possible. Yeah, so this option is not possible, right? So this is actually our correct option, right? One of the correct options. We don't know the other, we have other correct options, but this is actually one of the correct options. That is, this is not possible. Now this is possible, because rank of PQ can be at most m, so that may be matrices in which rank of PQ can be m also. Same way, if you apply the same identity for rank of QP matrix, is also same identity, you can write less than equal to minimum of uh, rank of Q and rank of P, and this you get less than equal to minimum of m comma m. So less than equal to m, so rank of QP is also less than equal to m. So um, I think these two are possible, right? These two are possible. Now what about the last option? We have to check whether this last option is correct or not. So let us check that. So what I feel is this option is also like this option is not true. So this is also actually a correct option for our question. Why is it? Because here if you take, suppose we know that m is less than n, right? We are given that sorry for that, we are given that m is less than n, and suppose let me take n to be simply the next integer m plus 1, the least case. If I take in that fashion, what I get, m plus 1 by 2, it's greatest, sorry, the smallest integer greater than or equal to m plus n by 2, where n is m plus 1, and this value is basically 2m plus 1 by 2, right? So this value is going to be what you're going to get something like m plus 0.5, right? This value. So this is again going to be, and if you apply this, I mean if you find the smallest integer larger than or equal to m plus n by 2, that means greater than smallest integer larger than this is basically m plus 1. So you know that our maximum rank is m, it cannot ever go to m plus 1. So that means that this option also will never happen. So this is also actually a not possible option. So in this question also we get two options, that is option A and D. Okay, so I've taken here, you can see I've taken here m plus 1 because I need the rank, right? I mean, sorry, the order is basically integer, that's why a positive integer here, so that's why I have taken m plus 1. So if you have any further queries, you can please put your doubts in the comment box, we will look into it. Now we'll move on to the next challenging problem from this section. So here you can see a question, we are given let alpha, beta and gamma be real numbers such that beta is non-zero, gamma is non-zero, and suppose that P is this matrix alpha, beta, gamma 0, and P inverse is given as P. Then we are asked which of the following options are true. Okay, first one is alpha is 0 and beta gamma is 1. Second one is alpha is not equal to 0 and beta gamma is 1. Third one is alpha is equal to 0 and beta gamma is 2. And the fourth one is alpha is 0 and beta gamma is equal to -1. So here we are already given a hint in the question that P inverse is equal to P, and I think that is a hint we must be using here so that we get the correct option. Okay, so we just find out what is the P inverse. What is the P inverse? How do you find it? Yeah, what is the determinant of the matrix P? It is simply alpha into 0 minus beta times gamma, right? This is actually the determinant of your P, that is nothing but determinant of the matrix P is nothing but minus beta gamma. So we get something like 1 by minus beta gamma times what do you get? Yeah, you get 0 uh, minus beta, here you get minus gamma, and here you get alpha, right? This is the P inverse, correct? So now what you get is, if you just multiply it inside, you get the matrix 0, and if you divide by minus beta gamma, you get 1 by gamma. Here if you divide by gamma, you get 1 by beta, and here you get what, alpha by minus beta gamma, right? Okay, now you just compare with this P, because we are given that P inverse is equal to P. So P inverse is equal to P, we found the P inverse and we are equating it to the P we got, right? It's a very simple question, right? Now you can see, if you compare, you can see what is alpha. Alpha you're getting is 0, and you get 1 by gamma is equal to beta, or from which you get beta, I'm sorry, you get 1 by gamma is equal to, just compare these two, 1 by gamma is equal to beta, or you get beta gamma equal to 1. Same thing you get from here also, you get 1 by beta is equal to gamma, or you get gamma beta or beta gamma is equal to 1. If you want, you'll just write it also, 1 by beta is gamma, so you get again beta gamma is equal to 1, right? So that means we got the option here, correct option, we got the value of alpha and we got the value of beta gamma. So from this I think we can say that the correct option here is this one. Okay, see, some questions are simple questions, but some questions are in fact tricky questions. So we have to use like a lot of properties what we learned to do it a bit more faster. so that we can attack more problems when we attend IIT JAM exams. Okay, but for almost all the problems, the nice clue is given in every question, so that which makes it easy for us to attempt, provided you know some good properties. So I request you to please go back to the lectures and see the properties what we have done, and please revise it and go on attending the problems like this. And I hope you know how to find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix, so that you can just it's just 1 by determinant times we are taking here. So this is a basic thing which we learn in our school days, so that I think is fine for you. And now let's go for the next question. So let's do this problem now. P is actually denoted as Pij, Bn, Pij, Bn 50 by 50 matrix, where the entry Pij is defined as minimum of I comma j. Okay, and where ij runs from 1 to 50, and we are asked to find the rank of P. It's actually a very simple question, but when you look at the question, you'll feel, oh, it's a bit difficult, but it's actually a very simple question. Let us just first try to define what is our P matrix. Okay, so let us define what is our P matrix, then we can do it in seconds. So you can see it's given as the minimum of I and j, right? What is I and j? I represents the row and j represents the column. So what, when you write the first entries here, you can see what is the minimum of 1, and here we have the A1 month or P1 month entry, right? P1 month entry will come here. So minimum of 1 and 1 is 1. Next entry is P1 2th entry. So minimum of 1 and 2 is what? Again 1. Again minimum of P1 3's entry. So minimum of 1 and 3 is again 1. So in that fashion, if you go, you get all the entries here as 1. Now if you look at this entry here, that is, here we have an entry known as P21. Minimum of 2 and 1 is 1. But when you come here, what you have? P22. So minimum of 2 and 2 is 2. Yes. Then we have 2 3. Minimum of 2 and 3 is again 2. For all the remaining entries will be what? It will be 2. Yes. Now what we have? Now here again, if you think of this entry P31, what will be the answer? 3 1 means minimum of 3 and 1 is 1. Here what we have? 3 and 2. So minimum is 2. Then what? Then remaining will be what? Remaining will be, yes, remaining will be completely 3, because 3 3 minimum is 3, 3 4 minimum is 3, and so on. So in that fashion, when you complete, you can see what will be the second last entry. We'll have something like 1 2 3 etc. We'll have something like this entry, that is 40p 49 49. So minimum is 49. So next is P49 50. So that is minimum of 49 50 is 49. So last is 1 2 3 etc. Here minimum of 49. So 50th row, 49th column. So minimum of 50 and 49 is again 49, and the last one is 50 50, P 50 50. So minimum of 50 and 50 is 50 itself. So this is our matrix. Now you can just think how to find out the rank of a matrix. I am just going to, you can just apply your row operations, elementary row operations we can find, etc. We have R49, R50. Now what I'm going to do is, I will make R2 as R2 minus R1. So when I do that, but I think better way is I can start from the uh, down. Okay, so when I'll do my operation as something like my R50 will become R50 minus R49. So can you tell what will be the last row? The last row, it will be 1 minus 1 0, 2 minus 2 0, 3 minus 3 0, etc. up to here 0, right? 49, up to those entries will be completely 0, and here 50 minus 49, that is 1. Now what I'll do? Now I'll write R49 to be R49 minus R48. So when I do that, what I get? You can just think like this. Previous row will be 1 2 3 etc. Here we'll have 48, then we have 48, right? And here again we have 48, because this is actually 48th row. So here we have 48 48th entry, here we have 48 49th entry, and here we have 48 50th entry. So minimum of 48 and 48 is 48, minimum of 48 and 49 is also 48, and minimum of 48 and 50 is also 48. So we just subtracted, what you get? You get 0 0 0, etc. This entry minus the previous, what will you get? So up to here it is 48, right? So 48 minus 48 will get as 0 there. Then this entry will be 1. Yes, 49 minus 48 is 1, and 49 minus again 48 is again, yes, it is 1. So if you go in this fashion, the final matrix what you're going to get is something like this. That is, this upper portion of this triangle, sorry, of this matrix will be completely ones, and remaining down will be completely zeros. Now you can see, now we already converted the matrix into an echelon form, and you can just simply count the number of non-zero rows. How many we have? We have 1, 2, 3, etc. 49 and 50. So total how many is, so what is the rank of this matrix? The rank of this matrix is obviously 50. Okay, so it's actually, I hope it's a very simple question. You understood the question. Let us move on to the next question. So if you look at this particular problem, it's also an interesting problem. Looks like a big problem, but we can solve it very easily if you know a basic idea about ranks. I'm going to use only linear independence and all those stuffs to do this in a easier and faster way. So you're given asked to find out m. What is m? M is defined as x1 x1 transpose plus x2 x2 transpose plus x3 x3 transpose plus x4 x4 transpose, and we are asked to find out the rank of the matrix M. You can see here, if I find out x1 into x1 transpose, I get something like this. Something similar we have done now, right? And you know the rank of this matrix is 1, right? But if I'm going to do like this, if I'm going to find x2 x2 transpose and all those things, and if I'm going to do the problem, it will take a lot of time for me, right? But the simple and trick what we have to use here is that the rank of this matrix M, if you want to find, it is enough to find, you take this 4 you are given 4 vectors here, you form a matrix using them, and just find out that how many linearly independent vectors are there among these particular vectors. That is, we are given 4 rows, and we just have to find how many are there between this. So if you just try to reduce these matrices, uh, what we get, suppose I take this is R1, this is R2, R3 and R4. If I just make my R2 as R2 minus R1, what I get is 1 minus 1. This first row is same, and second is 1 minus 1 0, 1 minus of minus 1 is 2, 0 minus 1 is minus 1, 1 minus 1 is 0, 1. Again I'll make say my R3 to be R3 minus R1, so I get again 1 minus 1 is 0, 3 minus 1 is 3 minus of minus 1 is 4, 1 minus 1 is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. And the last one again I'll make my R4 to be R4 minus R1, so 1 minus 1 is 0, this is again 2, 1 minus 1 is again 0, 0 minus 0 is again 0, right? So again I can apply the row operations or column operations here, right? So what I'm going to apply here is, this is my R1, new R1, new R2, new R3 and new R4. I'll make my R3 new R3 to be, or R2 to be, I'll make my new R2 to be what? Sorry, not R2. I should make my new R4. I'll reduce my new R4 to be R4 minus half times R3. So what I get? I get something like this: 1 0 4 0 0 0 0 0 0. Again, if I want, I can divide this by 2 and divide this by 4. Then I have converted the matrix into an echelon form, right? In that case, I'll get 3 non-zero rows, and I can say the rank of the matrix is 3. So after converting to the row echelon form, I get the rank of the matrix to be 3. So now the question you are going to have is that why I have taken like that, right? So I'll tell you why. Because if you go back to our lectures, we discussed one result, that is rank of A plus B is less than equal to rank of A plus rank of B, right? And if you think in terms of linearly independent, say, rows, then you can say something like the number of linearly independent rows in A plus B matrix is exactly less than equal to the number of linearly independent rows in A plus number of linearly independent rows in B. I can give you a small example. This cannot be always equal, it can be less than, but it cannot exceed this value, because, like, let me give you an example. Suppose you take a small matrix, you take all as 1, okay, you take completely 1 here, 4 entries, right? So if you take a 4 by 4 matrix with all entries are 1, this is suppose your A, and you take another matrix, all you take is -1, take as -1, -1, -1, -1, -1, right? So now you can see if I add these two matrices, I'm going to get 0 matrix, right? Completely 0 matrix. What is the rank of this matrix? Rank of this matrix is 1, because we have exactly one linearly independent row or column, because we just apply the row operations. You can make this and this rows completely 0. Similar way, here also rank is 1. So rank of A plus B is always less than equal to 2. Rank of A is 1 and rank of B is also 1. It cannot exceed 2. Can you tell why is it happening? Yeah, I'll tell you why it's actually exactly happening. So suppose you take you think I'll give a general notation instead of writing like this. So I'll take like this. Think of a case like this. Our R1, R2, etc. We have Rn. Okay. Now we have the second matrix, in which also we are going to take R1 dash, R2 dash, etc. Rn dash. Okay, Rn dash. Okay. So now when you add these vectors, what you can see is the first row is going to be R1 plus R1 dash, second is R2 plus R2 dash, etc. Rn plus Rn dash. This is kind of an intuition you must get when you do a lot of problems further. You'll easily try to get an idea like how to attempt such kind of problems. Okay, so here you can see R1 plus R1 dash, R2 plus R2 dash, etc. Rn plus Rn dash. What is basically the rank of this matrix? It is basically some value, right? Suppose you have a rank of this metric to be some particular value and this rank of this metric to be some particular value. What you're going to have is this first row is actually a linear combination of this and this row, right? And this second row is basically linear combination of this row and this row, and so on, right? And we know that the number of linearly independent rows is equal to the rank of this matrix. Okay, so if you think about the row space of this matrix, if you take the row space of this matrix, then how many linearly independent rows it will have? Yeah, that means if you take all these vectors, that is if you take r1, r1 dash, r2, r2 dash, etc., rn, rn dash, so you can see the row space will be spanned by these vectors. Okay, this need not be linearly independent, all need not be linearly independent, but this vectors will give you the span of these vectors. Span means nothing but the linear combination of these vectors. We have discussed what is a linear combination, all those things in the previous lectures. So the linear combination of these vectors will help you to generate the complete row space. So how many linearly independent vectors are there here? Among them, that only will try to generate the row space, and its dimension is in fact known as the rank, right? Because we are finding rank to be the number of linearly independent vectors in it, right? So here you can say in this case you are going to get something like how many linearly independent vectors are there in this, that will only generate this complete row space or rank, right? So that means, coming back to our problem, we had something like situation where our matrix was generated using these 4 rows, right? So it is enough to find just how many linearly independent rows are there in this to find out totally what is the rank of that particular matrix M. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. So the very important shortcut what we have used here is simply we just took these four rows, formed a matrix, and found the rank of this particular matrix. I hope it is clear to you, and if it's not clear, I would like you to please comment down in the comment section so that I can give you a more explained way if somebody is not understanding this. Okay.